Welcome to the Mayfield Minute that is not really the Mayfield Minute. I've got here with me Detective Sergeant Nathan Young. I've got Councilman Derek Parrott with me. And today we are talking about medical cannabis. The three of us went to a training hosted by Kentucky League of Cities to update us on policies, procedures, and things that are happening in the state of Kentucky in regards to medical cannabis. And so today, we just wanted to share some of that information with you so that, as we say in the Mayfield Minute, you are empowered with the things that you need to know. And we want to make sure that we increase that communication with our community and our citizens to be able to share the things that you need to know are happening in our state and in our community. So in regards to medical cannabis, it is becoming legalized in the state of Kentucky. That is already going to happen. As far as medical cannabis goes, and really over the next few months, you're going to see business license applications. In October, there's a lottery that takes place as far as who receives those business licenses and things like that. And then in January of 2025 is when actually card holders, medical cannabis card holders, can receive their prescriptions, and that becomes effective in the state of Kentucky. So for Mayfield, what does this mean? And that's what we're here today to share with you. So let's talk about what medical conditions would qualify for a medical cannabis prescription. What are those medical conditions that would qualify for that?
Okay, so a qualifying medical condition is someone who has cancer, maybe MS, seizures, or epilepsy, chronic pain, things such as that. It's just anyone can't get a cannabis card.
Yeah, I think that's the crucial part. Really, is not just anyone can get a prescription for medical cannabis. There are very clear diseases, disorders, things that would qualify a person to actually get that prescription for the medical cannabis. It's not just something that you can go and say, "Hey, I feel like I have some pain. I need this." You actually have to get a prescription from a practitioner of medicine to be able to make that happen. So we said, get the prescription, have a qualified card holder or something like that. Tell us more about who would qualify then. If you do have these conditions, how do you then receive a card?
To get a card, you have to be 18 years old, or you have to be an assigned caregiver. So just like with other prescriptions, if you're a caregiver for a juvenile or you're a caregiver for elderly or for some other condition, you're going to be able to get one. You cannot be convicted of a disqualifying felony. There are a list of those as well. You have to have a prescription from a certified medical personnel in the state of Kentucky that will actually give you the prescription to allow you to receive it. Once you get that, then you actually receive your medical marijuana card, and it gives details about that as well.
Yeah, so for each person who is able to have a prescription for medical cannabis, have to have the card, not have a disqualifying felony. All those things are crucial. And again, showing the kind of the strictness of this, because medical cannabis, this is not recreational. This is just like a prescription, as if you went to a pharmacy from somewhere else. You can't just walk in there and say, "Hey, I need Lortab," or whatever it may be. I have to have a prescription for this, and it's being carried out the same way. Is that what you guys understand as well?
Yes.
Okay, so it's just like another prescription. There are even stipulations as far as how many dispensaries or how many across the state, how many if there's any in the county. I know so many times when we think about cannabis or medical cannabis in particular, are these dispensaries going to be popping up everywhere? Are we going to see like marijuana leaves on these buildings and all this stuff? And that's not the case. Is that what you understand as well?
Correct.
You want to share some kind of maybe more about that as far as dispensaries that would be allowed if even Mayfield and Grace County is chosen for one or anything like that? Anything you want to share based on that?
Okay, yes, it can't be more than one dispensary in a county.
Yeah.
And just because medical cannabis become legal in Graves County doesn't guarantee that Graves County will have a dispensary.
That's right.
Other things are the dispensary can't be within 1,000 yards of a school or a daycare.
Yeah.
Those are a couple of things that's important for the community to know.
Yeah, not only does the state have certain stipulations, such as 1,000 yards from school or daycare, but then also city council can put into place certain ordinances as far as how they want to see things or how they want to control that as far as our community goes as well. And as Councilman Parrott mentioned, even if Mayfield and Graves County is chosen for a dispensary or allowed to have one here through the lottery process, there can only be one, right? There's not going to be dispensaries popping up all over the city. There can only be one in each county in regards to that, at least for our county. And so there can only be one. They're not going to be popping up everywhere or anything like that. Other things that you learned from the training that you wanted to share as far as how it affects Mayfield, Graves County for this medical cannabis?
I have one more thing. Also, a misconception: medical cannabis cannot be smoked. It have to be in a smokeless form. It can be edible, a vape, or an oil, something such as that. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's also important to know that it's not something that the individuals will be able to do in public. It cannot be done in a public place. It only have to be done in the privacy of your own home or a select place. You can't just be out there using medical cannabis for everyone to have to observe.
That's right. So two crucial pieces mentioned there. Again, cannot be smoked. If it is smoked, then it would fall under actual marijuana
Correct.
guidelines, and it would become illegal in regards to that. So cannot be smoked, and then also not consumed in public. And I think those are two crucial pieces as well. Again, it's just like a prescription that you would take for anything else, even beyond that, right? Let's talk about a little bit of enforcement, Detective. A little bit of enforcement in regards to that, as far as if you're under the influence, obviously operating a vehicle or anything like that, it's going to be just like another prescription and enforced in that way. Is that correct?
Right, yeah. So just like if you misuse your prescription medication, such as Lortab, something like that, something you're not supposed to operate any machinery with, you can get a DUI or anything like that. If you're smoking it instead of using it in the proper way, you can be charged with possession of marijuana. So it falls under the same aspects of that.
Yeah. Okay. Any last things that you want to mention for our community that they need to know about in regards to medical cannabis?
Just so they know that, there is, we're going over obviously small details of certain things. There actually is more specific rules and laws that will be enforced as well.
That's right.
We're giving you all a broad view of what to look for, but there actually is more stipulations than what we've even previously stated.
Yeah, I think that's great to mention. Again, we attended training even from this, and I know that Detective Sergeant and I have attended a webinar as well that was from the governor's office. We've gone through extensive training in this, and there's so much really to lay out there. A lot of it has to do with enforcement. A lot of it has to do with ordinances and things for the community. But just as a whole, this is what we thought maybe would interest you the most, or at least be able to educate you the most in regards to conversations about medical cannabis. Now, Councilman, there are different guidelines or procedures that could play out. I know that City Council kind of had we presented to City Council last month, and I think there's a workshop coming up about medical cannabis for City Council, and then City Council will then make the decision to either do nothing, which means it goes into state law and it's effective here in Mayfield. They will either choose to create ordinances so that medical cannabis can be legal here in Mayfield, and we can have the dispensaries and things like that, and cultivators and pieces of this, but under controlled ways through ordinances. Or City Council can choose to also not allow medical cannabis business licenses in our community, and or send it to a vote in November. Is that the way that you understand kind of these options or these processes?
Yes, exactly as you said. We can either prohibit medical cannabis, or we can do nothing and it'll take effect, or we can have the voters to determine if they want it in our community or not.
Yeah, so over the next few months, maybe even at the July City Council, there could be something that happens there in regards to sending it to vote or accepting it or creating these ordinances to allow business license for medical cannabis. Again, talk to your council people of this. They represent you. If you want it to go to vote, let them know. If you want them to create the ordinances to accept business license and things like that, or to reject it. I think the number one thing that our goal is at least today, is to educate you. Again, this is not for recreational use. This is for medical cannabis. It's very restrictive on who can get it, who has access to it through prescriptions, through qualified practitioners of medicine. The way that they're going to distribute that in our community, it's very restrictive as far as what I understand from the state. So we just wanted to fill you in, educate you on the things that are happening. If you have questions, you can always email those to jcarico@mayfieldky.gov. Again, that's jcarico@mayfieldky.gov. Happy to answer those and or bring those up to council so that, again, your voice can be heard, because you are our community and we want to make sure that we represent you well in the days ahead. So send those questions to me. Happy to answer those. And I want to thank Detective Sergeant Nathan Young and Councilman Derek Parrott for not only the training and the education for our community, but also sharing for today. So thank you guys for doing this.